Hello, welcome to the Preparedness Therapist channel. My name is David and I am a psychotherapist by profession, a prepper by choice. And today I want to talk about the first chapter in the book that I'm writing, the first book on preparedness. I've written a number of books. It's going to be a series of at least 12 books though, and this is on understanding the psychology of prepping. There are many good prepping channels out there that talk about meeting the physiological needs of preppers, food storage, water storage, and they dabble and sometimes talk to some degree on the psychology and social psychology of prepping, but that's my focus primarily on this channel, though you'll also find that I dabble in some of the physiological preparedness. My wife as well is going to have some videos on this channel where she talks about this physiological preparedness, things like gardening and aspects like that. I do have a couple of videos up on underground greenhouses, which I think are really beneficial for folks, and so I'd encourage you to go look at those. But this video right here is going to talk about the psychology of preparedness. A lot of people generally think, who aren't preppers, feel that preppers are kind of the paranoid type, that they're the individuals who get into it because they are doomsdayers and that they don't have a lot of faith in humanity, and I tend to differ with that pretty strongly, actually. I tend to see that preparing and preppers generally are very intelligent people and that they have a lot of foresight, and so preparedness is an important part of being a thoughtful community member. Not everybody has to have the same values, and so there are some folks who I really get along with, family members and acquaintances and friends who are not preppers, and that's their prerogative. But I feel that the prepper community generally is very insightful. There's a lot of historians who are part of the prepper community. I kind of like to consider myself an amateur historian. And as we look at history, that's one of the big motivating factors for me to become involved in prepping, because we learn lessons from history, don't we? And when we study history and see what's happened, we're bound to repeat history. And I want to be on the edge of surviving that repeated history. And so, preppers are an intelligent community, and we're going to talk a little bit about the psychology of that. There was a psychologist in the early days when psychology was just sort of starting here as a profession, when it kind of broke away from philosophy, named Abraham Maslow. And Maslow came up with something called the hierarchy of needs. Many prepper channels out there, very good channels, talk about the physiological needs: storing food, water, preparing your shelter. And I do that as well. Those are just vital, really important things. My feeling, though, as I go to different events, and especially some of the primitive skills gatherings that I attend, that are educational, experiential in nature, where we learn the skills of our indigenous ancestors, we realize and come to realize that the psychology of individuals plays more into their survival than even their physiological needs. We'll go over some of these stories later in more detail. People falling from the sky in an airplane and surviving and having broken bones and still making it out alive. That airplane crash in the Andes where the soccer team survived. The people who gave up are the ones who died, and the people who kept going, who had the mindset of not necessarily even preparedness, but just, I'm going to be resilient, I'm going to survive this. They're the ones who did it. So Abraham Maslow talked about meeting the very basic needs first, and as we go on up the scale, we go to safety and love, and then esteem, and then self-actualization. And so meeting those needs is important, but I would also put at the very bottom, in the bottom section, that if somebody doesn't have the psychology of survival and the resilience to bounce back from hard times, then they're not going to survive. And so that the psychology of preppers are people who see that their mindset and their heart set is just as important as the physiological aspects of preparedness. So that's what I hope to focus on in my writings and my channel here. Although we dabble, it's all interrelated, isn't it? So we go into other things as well. Let's talk a little bit about risk perception. As I mentioned, many preppers are historians, and we look at history, we understand history, and we use our knowledge of history to help us prepare for what's coming, because history does repeat itself. And one of the things about preppers is that we enjoy getting ready for the hard times. I don't know if enjoy is the right word. It helps us. And it's kind of a segue into another aspect of the psychology of preppers, and that is coping strategies. I tend to have anxiety. I think that I'm genetically wired for that. And I think that because of that, I've got to develop some coping skills myself to deal with that anxiety. One of those coping skills is to prepare. And so I've done my work as far as getting a homestead type situation set up where we can grow a garden, we can access water without electricity. We can create electricity as well, but there's going to be a time when we're not going to be able to have it, I believe. And our ancestors lived for so long, without millennia, without any kind of electricity that we could harness and control. I've done that stuff, but it helps me with my anxiety to know that I can not have to use our modern conveniences to survive and to protect my family. And so, as part of the Preparedness Therapist channel, what we're going to explore is some of those physiological needs, but also the mindset and the heart set of preppers, of families and groups, also the heart set and mindset of criminals. Because if you understand the criminal element and how there is something of that in each of us to some degree, and we'll talk about that, how you can beat them at their game. And so that's what we're going to discuss here. We're going to, many topics, anything related to the psychology or social psychology of prepping. Belonging to a prepping community is another big aspect of the psychology of prepping. We want to gather with other folks who feel the same way that we do, who have the same heart set and mindset. And then we're all part of these smaller groups. We're part of a bigger prepper community, aren't we? I consider these other preppers, even though I haven't met them, we're part of the same group. And so when the hard times come, we're going to be able to rely on each other. And it sure is helpful for us to be able to have people that we can rely on to share the duties of not only meeting the physiological needs and the safety needs of our group, but also helping us with those higher aspects of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, like love and esteem, and even self-actualization. Can that happen in a shiz situation? Yeah, I think it can. I think resilience is a big part of it. And I'm going to keep this family friendly, so I'm going to keep the swearing to a minimum. Shiz, you probably know what that is. Shiz hits the fan, but that's what I'm going to be using. Preppers who I know and who I'm aware of and who I respect are intelligent people. They're fairly educated. That doesn't mean necessarily schooled at all. There's a difference between schooling and education. I think that we're going to talk about the mindset and adjusting our mindset as we prepare, and how to work within a society that sometimes doesn't really accept preppers. So welcome to this journey. Thank you for being here. I encourage you to subscribe and be looking for my books as they come out. I hope to make this educational, but also not boring. And so you might see me wearing some of my other outfits at times. I used to work in a wilderness therapy program and really love the wilderness survival stuff. And we're going to go over some of the primitive projects there, but we're also going to talk about the psychology of not only the preppers, but also the criminals, and talk about some of the aspects of that. So thanks for being on this journey, and go catch my other videos. Thanks.